guys, so I want to start off this video by saying happy holidays to everyone in what will soon be a new year. I apologize for not kind of wishing you guys Merry Christmas or anything in my last video. I just didn't really think about it. So thank you all who wished me a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. I really appreciate it. So today I want to talk about some ways that you can help improve the fuel economy of your car. Now, I've gotten a few questions about this on the channel, so I figured I would make a video just to kind of go over a few reasons, and because I haven't really seen any other videos or many articles or whatnot out there on how you can really improve your gas mileage. I am nearing 1,000 followers on Instagram, so if you guys can get me to 1,000 followers before the new year, I will do another giveaway to my followers, probably some more decals. I'm not sure how many, 5 or 10 probably. But just get me to 1,000 followers, and if you're already following me, of course, and I hit 1,000, you'll already be entered to win. So share my profile, help get the word out there. If I hit 1,000, because I'm pretty close, if I hit 1,000 before the end of the year, we'll do another giveaway. Let's get started. So the number one thing that I think you can do, and probably the most obvious thing that you can do to improve your fuel economy, is to drive conservatively and not aggressively, because of course when you're accelerating quicker, giving the car more throttle, it's going to be using more fuel versus just kind of slowly and gradually accelerating. And the same could be applied when braking as well. You don't want to slam on your brakes, you want to kind of ease into the brakes and just be gentle and smooth with everything. And if you see a red light ahead of you or something, you can always just kind of coast up to it. You don't necessarily have to slam on your brakes at the last second. So if you just kind of coast, if you have an automatic, a lot of times the car will drop into neutral and it won't be revving as high. So that'll help you save a little bit of gas as well. So another important one that's very easy to do is check your tire pressure, because if you have low tire pressure, then that means that there's a lot more resistance when your car is rolling, and therefore the engine has to work harder to move the car. So I'm not necessarily saying overinflate your tires, but you want to make sure that they're not underinflated, because that could, one, be a safety issue, and two, it can be hurting your fuel economy. So number 3 on the list is a pretty interesting one, and that is changing your air filter. Now, you might not think that this would be a viable option for improving your fuel economy at first, but when you really think about it, it makes sense. Because if you have a clogged up air filter with dirt, dust, debris, whatever, it makes it harder for the engine to suck air in and then work efficiently. If you have not necessarily a less restrictive filter, but if you at least have a clean filter, it makes it a lot easier for air to get into the engine, and it also will help your performance as well, of course, if it's a lot easier for air to get into the engine. So that's a very cheap fix, and I read that that can improve your fuel economy between 10 and 15% just by doing that one little $20 fix. So next up, and this is another fairly obvious one, I think, and that is aerodynamics. If your car is an F-150 or some big boxy car, it probably isn't very aerodynamic and doesn't get very good fuel economy. Now, when you look at the shape of the Prius and that cheese wedge shape that I've made fun of before, it's designed that way because it's super aerodynamic and has a super low coefficient of drag. So the low resistance and the ability for the Prius to much better kind of slide through the air, I guess you can say, that helps it get better fuel economy, because as it's driving it faces less resistance from the wind. So another thing you can do is, let's say you have like a roof rack or something on your car, you can take that off, because chances are you won't be using it all the time. So if you take that off, and along with taking off weight, you can also be improving your aerodynamics instead of having just some big box on the top of your car. Now, I understand that the aerodynamics one might not be something that you can necessarily change super easily, but at the same time it is, because if you can keep your windows up, if you can keep your AC off also, which is kind of another thing that you can do, that'll also help improve your fuel economy just by trying to make the car as aerodynamic as possible. Don't stick things, I don't know, don't make the car more resistant than it needs to be. I'm sure that I've explained it well enough at this point that you understand what I'm saying. Next up on the list is tuning, and you might think that this is kind of pointless, but it can serve as both a benefit to your performance and your fuel economy, believe it or not. When I got stage 1 for my 9.3, I think I was averaging maybe 24, 25 combined between city and highway, and now I get at least 26, maybe 26 and a half, 27 if I'm driving super conservatively. That's combined. On the highway I can get in the low to mid 30s, which I think is really impressive. So if you can find somewhere that does tuning for your car, a lot of times there's a chance that it can increase your fuel economy. And a lot of places that do tuning will not advertise for this because 99.9% of people who get tunes don't get tunes to improve their fuel economy. They do it for performance purposes. But if you ask, I'm sure that there will be at least something they can do to help improve that fuel economy. So the last thing I have for you guys is weight reduction. And this might seem like another obvious one, because when you take more weight out, obviously it makes it easier for the engine to move the car forward with less weight. So if you can do something as simple as taking out the spare tire, or if you have a bunch of boxes in the back seat, a bunch of garbage in your trunk, just by doing stuff like that, you can at least take out 100, maybe even 200, 300 pounds, depending on how much stuff you have. Now, I'm not necessarily saying strip your interior and completely just go bananas and cut the weight of your car in half, because while that will help, that's not practical. But there are some steps that you can take to at least alleviate your car of some weight and help increase that fuel economy. So there you have it, guys. There is 6 ways to improve the fuel economy of your car. I'm sure that there are other small things that you can do out there, but from what I did some research on and what I looked up, those were kind of the big 6 recurring themes and things that I have done to help my fuel economy. Now, I understand that fuel economy is not super important to everyone, and some people would rather just have whatever they're doing right now and would just live with it, and that's fine, of course. But these are suggestions for those who want to save a few pennies here and there on gas. And yeah, so if you guys have more suggestions, leave them down below in the comments. That's going to wrap up this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.